Hey guys, my name is Ismas, and today I'm excited to introduce this mini modeling and texturing series, and we are going to be making this sword from scratch. We're going to touch on a lot of things, including modeling, texturing, and working with materials or creating your own materials. So you can look at this. This is the final product. You can see the details here. Hope you enjoy this, and let's get started. It's going to be a two-part series. The first part, this part is going to be about modeling, and then the next part is going to be about texturing, where I show you how to do everything that you see in here, including adding this text. If you're a patron, you can get the project files on my Patreon page. Now, if you want to see the resources that I've used, like reference images and some screenshots of the material setups that I'm working with, you can go to Blender Everything, which is my new website, where I'll be posting a lot of my stuff there, and upcoming tutorial series, you'll find everything there. Any updates that I want to be making on this project or any other projects, I'll be posting onto this page. So let's get started. Okay, so I have PureRef open here, and this is what you can use to set up your references. You can see some of the reference images I'm going to be using, and I've made a screenshot of this so that you can have it as well. You can go to my website, Blender Everything, and you see this post. I'll also be leaving a link in the description to go directly to this page. I'm going to add all the resources that I used in this video on this page, so that you can also get them, starting with this reference image, where you can see the images and the different images that we have been using. You can either use PureRef and just set this screen on the second screen, but the issue with that for me is that you won't be able to see the reference images when I'm working here. So what I'm going to do, instead of using PureRef, I'm going to work directly in Blender. So I'm going to set up, this is my workspace here. You can see I have a few sections divided for different things. I have my render preview here, my viewport, my outliner, but I also want to have my references as well. The issue I'm going to have is that Blender only supports one image per view editor, and you can see I can't add multiple images like I would in PureRef. So what I'm going to do is just switch to 3D view so that I'm in 3D view. I'm going to turn off these overlays and hide everything here. I can also turn off these and turn off these text and everything else. I think text info, so that we just stick with this viewport, and I can also turn off overlays. Then just drag the image into the viewport, and not inside the camera, just into the viewport like that. And you can see that I can see it here, but I want it to be, let me clear the rotation. I want it to be off to the sides, and I'm just going to hit the period key to center that image on here. And now I can add multiple images, and I think I can just have them in their own collection, call them ref for reference. I can just minimize that like that. Now we can start on our sword. I think we can start with the handle here. To do that, let's start with a circle. We don't need 32 vertices. We can use 12. Scale it down. Rotate it on the X. Rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to make it not super rounded, just something like that. Apply the scale. Go to edit mode and then extrude. Just like that. Okay, shade smooth. Just grab this edge. Extrude. I think I can turn on auto smooth here. If you turn on auto smooth, which you can do, I'm using my quick favorites here, but you can go under the object data, normals, turn on auto smooth. But if you're seeing facets like this, you can try increasing the angle, and that should clear those. So let me see, which type of handle do I want? That, let's go with a simple one like this. Extrude, extrude. Hit F to fill it, and then Ctrl B to bevel the edge. So we have something rounded, nicely rounded like that. We can add in details, so I'm going to add an edge loop there. Then Ctrl E, extrude out a bit like that. And then Ctrl 2 to add subdivision surface with a level 2. and I can Control R to add an edge loop there, supporting edge loops, and another supporting edge loop there, and make this sharp. Control R there, and I'm just going to select this edge ring using Alt and then double clicking that ring, and then hit G twice to slide that edge, so we have something like that. Now we have some issues here. I don't know if you can see them, but let's reduce the n-gon to get rid of that issue. Maybe pull this out a bit like that, and I can grab this. I'm going to just hit F, extrude, and then grab this ring using Alt, and then left clicking this, then Alt E to extrude along normals, and then I think I can should I do it like that? Scale on the X. Yeah, think something like that. Then add some supporting edge loops there. Add supporting edge loops there to make this sharp, like that. I think this has to be a bit longer. There may be a bit wider in the middle there, like that. Now, what makes this look like a sword is these wraps. So let's try getting those. So I'm just going to grab, let's see, what's the best way to approach this? I think we can grab a plane like this, just delete all the edges except one, then like this, extrude, and add a subdivision surface, Ctrl 2 with a level of 2, like this. Just try, actually you can just go into side view and just extrude up, down like that. Maybe even squish this a bit so we have more. Extrude up, extrude down, extrude up, extrude down, extrude up, just like that. Then we can go to the side view. Actually, let me first have this in the middle like that. So if you go to the side, you have that. If you go to the front, you have that. We can use the shear tool, shear, to shear it, have this like this. Okay. And just have to divide this, and I just drag half of these out like that, and half of them. So let me select, make a selection like this where I'm skipping at least one. Go to the front view, I drag this down, and yeah, something like that. So you can see this starts to wrap around quite nicely. In some areas we might have to drag this up, so yeah, nice, like that. Okay, then let me just make a backup copy here, then convert this into a curve. Or before I even do that, I can even just apply the subdivisions and try adding a shrink wrap. Select this and just bring this, give this an offset, so you can see how this is wrapping nicely around this. So apply the shrink wrap, then convert this to a curve. I will just have my curve pivot point starting there, and I can now create this I don't know how it's called, so using a plane with a few subdivisions, and apply the scale. Let me turn on random colors here. You can go under overlays, is it under viewport shading, turn on random colors to have random colors for each object. So we can have this as an array. Let me turn on wireframe. You can do that again under overlays, wireframe, but I have this under my quick favorites. So we have this. You can give this a curve object, and remember we have our new curve like that. We also want this to be in the position of the curve. Let me first hide this handle for a bit. Cursor selected, these two selected. Actually, let me first remove this array and move all these subdivisions, and just slide this, add subdivisions there. Okay, maybe scale this on the X, make sure the curve is applied. We apply the scale and the rotation of the curve, and now I can add a curve object like that. We need to get the right orientation, so rotate 90 degrees. Okay, now everything seems to be working fine. We're just lacking resolution. For this, I think I need to add, I think we need to rotate this. Rotate what? Actually, we can go to the curve object, curve settings, and change the twist method to, let's try Z up. Doesn't twist very well in some areas like this. Another thing we could do is optimize this curve. So let me first convert this. So in edit mode of the curve, I can convert this into set spline type to Bezier, and then right click and decimate curve, so that we reduce the number of points, control points we have. Want this to set this to automatic. Okay, so actually not automatic, but aligned. Okay, so we have reduced the number of control points we have, but it has also kind of messed up the curve a bit, but that's okay. Yeah, so now I want to twist this in a way that makes sense. So here I can just use the twist, is it the tilt tool, to rotate this correctly, because I'm saying that in some areas this is not twisting correctly. I'm going to add more subdivisions to this, and now we can use an array above the curve in the, I think this would be in the Y direction, so I can do that like that. Again, we have some wrong twists in some areas, so that we might want to fix. Change this to tangent. Yeah, I think tangent would give better results. Shade smooth. Bring back our hand. This is just supposed to be a guide. The curve is supposed to be a guide, so I'm just going to apply. Let me first make a few changes, adjustments to this. Make this a bit wider. Yeah, this, we can apply the array, apply the curve. Now we can unhide this. I just come back to this and make a few changes. I'm going to use Alt S to push these out a bit and make them thicker, just dragging, and make sure that merge by distance here. Okay, make them a bit bigger. Now we can add a shrink wrap, because you can see things don't really look very good there. You can add a shrink wrap, connect this to this, add an offset. Now you can see now things are wrapping much better. Apply that shrink wrap. If I add a solidify modifier, maybe push this out a bit, especially where things don't seem to line up correctly. I think our ring might be a bit too thick, so let me try and solve that. And I'm having some issues with the last pieces here, so let me just get rid of those. And I can add some supporting loops, so something like that. And I can shift D, mirror this. So we have that. And then now I can remove the solidify, add another shrink wrap. Select this, push it, and just add a nice offset. Now solidify like that, but I don't want this intersecting, so I can come in here, select this edge loop, turn on proportional editing, and just pull that part. And I can also make sure that I have connected on, just pull that only the section that is intersecting up. I think this is okay, so you can see how that looks. Yeah, we can continue decorating this, and maybe we can do, let's see, draw some details onto this. So if I add a curve object, maybe first center, grab this edge loop, shift S. If I add a curve object, circle, and go to edit mode, add a mirror modifier for Y, and delete all these pieces. We can draw using the draw tool, and we want to draw directly onto the surface. Let's see what details do we have here. We have a few options here. I can try and draw some details, so maybe something like that. See what we have. You can see it's mirrored on the Y and the Z as well, which is nice. Now I can give this a profile, so a profile, a different curve as its profile. So I can let me see, come in here, select, go to this curve, and just use object for the profile. Go to edit mode and use Alt S while having all the points selected to just make this like that. Then I can just shrink these details a bit. We can go further and make this a bit more detailed. So we have this curve. I'm going to change this to aligned, and I think I can delete this segment here. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, I think, and we need to rotate this so that rotate this negative 90 degrees, so it's at the flat surface. We don't need the wide mirror. So yeah, so that the flat surface is on the opposite side. So going to come back here. Now shift. So the flat surface of this other one is on the other is on the opposite side. So I'm just going to use the rotate or the tilt option to rotate this to have it facing correctly the side we want it to face. Okay, now we can play with this curve here. I think I'm just going to zoom in here so that I can see. You can look at here and what we are doing with the profile here. So I'm just going to add an extra subdivision, I think. Yeah, like that. And let me just try rotating this. And if you want to be fancy, you can even add in some extra extra detail. And that seems a bit too much. So let's just keep it like that. Right now, this has too much detail, unnecessary. That is unnecessary. So I'm going to go to the profile and just reduce the resolution. Yeah, like that. Come to the main curve, also get that reduced resolution down, something like that. Now we can go to the blade itself. We don't really need to start with this mesh. We can just start with a plane. Just extrude it. Make it taper. Okay, something like this. Then extrude again for the sharp area. Let's add a loop in the middle. Just drag this. Subdivisions. We want this edge loop to be sharp around there. Maybe wider there. Okay, maybe our pointer is a bit too sharp, so something like that. Insert and come back to here. So these are going through each other, so I'm just going to scale them out like that, and drag this up, add a supporting edge loop to make that area sharp. Now we can add a mirror. Would it be Z? Yeah. Bring this up. So something like that. Shade smooth. Add a supporting edge loop here so that this is quite sharp. Now we also want this pointer to be sharp, so I'm going to grab these edge loops, Ctrl B, bevel them, and just make that look sharp. I think we can make this smaller or shrink it a bit. I think I need to bring this back a bit. I like that. Now this middle detail, let's see, we can just grab this edge loop. Now we don't want this part here to be sharp as well. We can come back to that later, but we can get this, bevel this, Ctrl B, like that. Insert, and then pull down. We need some supporting edge loops there, supporting edge loops there, and we might also need okay. Can get rid of these edge loops, get rid of these. Okay, so now we have a sword that looks like that. But the back side here, we don't want those faces. Now we want that to be sharp. So let's flatten that. Just so I'm just going to grab this, unwrap. Okay. Our first thing we can do is apply the mirror of this. Make sure that we don't have any doubles. I'm going to select this edge loop, Ctrl E, maxim, unwrap that, so we have two sides like that. Come to this handle. Now this is a bit tricky to unwrap. If I turn on subdivisions, if I unwrap it, you can see it's just giving me an error. So let's add a loop here and a loop here, and then a loop that goes from there, so that we can unwrap this quite easily. So max seam, unwrap. So we have 3 separate islands. I'll have an issue on this, so I'm just going to alt right click this edge loop, Control E, max seam, unwrap, and that should let's see, where has that added the seam. Now, I don't want to add seams where they are going to be easier to see, so let me add this seam here, around here. Control E, max seam up to, guess Control E max, yeah, there. And I think we can also add another seam there, add a seam there, maybe add a seam there, unwrap. Perfect. I'm going to clear that, unwrap. Okay, I think we are good. We are good with this handle. Now these, I need to apply, just first unwrap these. It seems to have a lot of resolution for some reason. I'm not sure if I want that, but that's okay. Before you apply the modifier, just make sure you have only rims turned on. Let me make sure that my faces are facing the right direction. Yeah. Checking the normals to see if they're facing the right direction, and you can do that by going under overlays, turn on face orientation. I'm just using a shortcut for that. Okay, then we can apply the solidify and then unwrap these. If you just leave them like this, they're going to take up a lot of UV space, so I'm just going to first break them up by adding seams and then unwrapping them so that they don't take up as much space. So just unwrap. So it seems like they're taking more space than they were, but if we join them with other parts, let me actually make sure that I apply the scale, unwrap. They should take up less space now. Now we can use UV average island scale and then pack islands. The swords are taking up too much space, but since they are the largest surface, that's okay. I'm going to grab these and I just scale them up so that they're also using as much space, so that we optimize our space usage. I'm going to create a new image, texture, image texture. Let's use a 2K. So multiply this by 2. Okay. I'm going to name this bake because that's what we're going to use to bake. And the first thing we want to bake is basically we actually don't need to bake too much. We just need to bake ambient occlusion and pointness. So pointness, if you go to cycles, can only works in cycles, and since we want to test this out in Eevee, let me first remove this background. So I want to go to the pointness node here, pointness, yeah, this here. Make sure everything has subdivision surface, otherwise the pointness is not going to look super close. Yeah. I think, yeah, we can add a color ramp to see the pointness better. Just bring this up and you can see, yeah, we want to have something like that. You can see the sharp edges of this sword more clearly. You can connect this to the base like that, and now I can go to render settings bake. We only want to bake, no glossy, no emission. Just the diffuse. Actually, you can just select it directly from here. And make sure you have the image you want to bake on selected. And I just hit bake. I'm going to pause. Okay, seems that is also done. So let's look at this. This is good. Let me see. I'm seeing our UVs might be clipping.